Alright, we are on the draw with Rug Delver. This hand looks pretty keepable. Got a couple lands, a couple cantrips, a couple threats, and a mana leak. Opponent kept on 7. We're gonna do the same. Turn 1 Serum Visions, turn 2 Tarmogoyf. Opponent has a Serum Visions themselves off of a Spire Bluff Canal. The last time we saw Spire Bluff Canal and Visions, we were playing against Blue-Red Storm. I'm almost positive I want to be using Serum Visions here, because if I am up against Storm, I'm gonna need some way to interact. And Thought Scour not quite as effective at that. Even though, to Thought Scour's credit, we could Scour, hope to draw into removal, and then have removal plus Mandrills for turn 2. Don't think that's enough. We're going to pay Shock here. We drew a Scour, Misty, and Mana Leak on top. Those probably aren't what we need right now. So, bottom both, send it back to the opponent. Mana Leak could theoretically be good enough. I'm certainly not tapping out for a Goyf if they slam a cost reducer, because chances are we're dead. Just an opt. Okay. Good shape. Good shape. Let's get the graveyards out. Snow-covered island, something Storm does run for gifts piles. You can put island and snow-covered island in the same pile. If we saw 2 snow-covered islands and this wasn't a Spire Bluff Canal, I'd be more worried about turns. As is, doesn't look like we're playing against taking turns, or turbo turns, whichever you prefer. 2 cantrips for our opponent. We're just gonna slam a threat here. Question is, which one? That's gonna need to get a breeding pool. If we do plan on going Thought Scour Mandrills, we're gonna have to fetch before using the Thought Scour, just in case we do mill the breeding pool. If we turn over the breeding pool, Flooded Strand won't be able to get a green source, and that's gonna be bad. I think we just want to play Tarmogoyf. But if we are playing against Storm, then it doesn't actually matter that we have more than one threat going, so technically Thought Scour Mandrills is fine. The ever so slight upside to Thought Scour Mandrills is that we might draw Disrupting Shoal off of Thought Scour, and that gives us interaction while we tap out, so I think I want to take that line instead. Well, we drew an island, milled over Spell Snare and Bauble. Neither of those particularly relevant. How many cards in the bin? 6. We need to get rid of 5. I believe we're going to want to leave the Spell Snare. Kind of want to leave the Bauble for Goyf, but Snap, Spell Snare, definitely relevant. Let's leave the Bauble. Opponent has Baral Go. Okay. What should we do here? I believe I'm getting a phone call. Never tried this with MTGO. Let's see how that's gonna go. Alright, hopefully we can mix these 2 videos together nicely. We're somewhat incentivized to Thought Scour right here because we might hit Lightning Bolt. So I think that's what I want to do. We hit Snapcaster Mage, so our plan is going to be swing with Mandrills, hold up Mana Leak, hope that's enough. Chances are it's not, but we're gonna hope it's enough. We do have Leak, Snap Leak, so if it's enough, it might be enough continually. Doesn't look good. Opt is not something we want to be interacting with here. They have plenty of cards. We want to try to hit them on the mana. Land tapped. Oh, okay. Okay. They probably should have attacked there. But anyways, it's not like our life total is very relevant. Bolt. Cool. We almost certainly played the land anyways. We're gonna bolt that. Hopefully that resolves. We could see a remand here. If we do, we might need to Mana Leak it. I think we should have flashed in the Snapcaster Mage on the end step to speed up the clock a little bit. Yeah, that would have made for a 3-turn clock instead of a 4-turn clock, but I'm not sure if you want to keep Snapcaster Mage in hand for continual disruption. Them not having Remand is definitely good for us. Get in there, hold up Mana Leak. No way I'm putting the Mana Leak shields down in this spot. Not even close to happening. Okay, now they have a lot of mana. And this is probably going to be difficult if the opponent has anything decent here. I was kind of hoping to draw a land here. Doesn't really matter which, so that we'd be able to go Mana Leak, Snap, Bolt. As is, we get in with the Mandrills. I don't think I want to use Serum Visions, but maybe I do. Actually, maybe we really want to use Serum Visions, because we only have one piece of disruption anyways. If we play Tarmogoyf, we have a 1-turn clock, so that might actually be best. Goyf, hold up Leak. On the other hand, we can Visions, hold up Leak, or Snap Bolt, but that gives them another draw step. I want to play the Goyf. We only have one piece of disruption anyways, so let's get going. Pyretic Ritual, not something we can stop. We can make them tap all of their blue sources, but if they have Manamorphose, that's not really relevant. So I think we let that resolve. Pyretic again. Pyretic again. Desperate. Past in Flames. If we counter that, they're down to 2 mana. They'll Ritual to tap out. They'll be at 3. Ritual again, Ritual again. They need Manamorphose in hand. I think that's worth going after. Or, what happens if we let this resolve? They have 2 mana floating. They use that instead. Ritual, Ritual. No, I think we're better off Mana Leaking. This way, at least they have to tap out their blue sources. If they don't have a... what do they need? They need either the ability to... oh, they don't have to tap their blue sources, but they do have to tap them now to cast their rituals. That's right. I didn't totally mess up my math. I can handle adding and subtracting. This is exciting. Oh, what are they going to do? Do they try to draw? If they have Grape Shot here, they can deal 7 damage, deal with one of our creatures. Actually, they'll be able to do more because they can do the rituals again. They could probably wipe our board with a Grape Shot in hand. Here's an opt. Looks like they're just going to cantrip here, set up. Mana Leak does not look very good right now, given that the opponent has 5 lands in play. They scry, they draw 1. Only 1 mana open. They did play a land this turn. Did they? No, they didn't. Just a bunch of rituals. So, theoretically, they could play a land and try to continue going off. Here's a land. They go to 6. 1 card in hand. What do we got? Pyretic. We're chaining rituals. We're doing it. I'm assuming they drew that Steam Vents off of the opt, because they didn't play it earlier in the turn. I think that makes sense. Can't say for sure. Here's a Grape Shot. Yeah, they just wanted to wipe the board. We no longer have anything, so we're just going to give up priority. I don't want to have to deal with this. Clicking in between Grape Shots. Board gone. We have a bunch of threats, though. Tarfire in hand. Now, the opponent has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lands, so they can flashback Past in Flames for 5 mana, and then cast a cantrip. They need more before they can start going off again. I think this is a good time to put down the Snap Leak Shield, given that we're going to have to do it sooner or later, so it may as well be right now. If we are playing Tarmogoyf, we either play Tarmogoyf or Nux, because we have to lay down a threat. We're not holding up Snap Leak in this spot. I don't think it's worth it. So we're going to be casting Serum Visions in addition, given that we may as well. But what if we do hold up Snap Leak? We hope to leak whatever their important spell is, probably a Past in Flames. They need land Past in Flames. We mana leak that. It gets exiled. We hit for 2 with Snapcaster Mage. What can punish us in that scenario? What can they draw? What if they draw a Ritual? If they draw a Ritual for turn, they tap 2 lands, get 3 mana, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 mana available. We can still Snap Leak? Is there anything wrong with Snap Leak here? I don't think they have a way out of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They could Pieces of the Puzzle, maybe set up. I'm going to put Pressure. We actually should have used Serum Visions before playing that Goyf. Anyways, let's Visions. Lightning Bolt, fantastic on top. Vapor Snag can go to the bottom. If they have an Electromancer for turn, we're going to Tarfire it. If they have basically nothing, Tarfire probably just hits them in the face. Manamorphose, sure. It's really unlikely they can chain anything together, right? They Past in Flames here. They have 2 mana. Wow. Drawing a land off of Manamorphose did it, didn't it? Here's a Ritual. I think I might have messed up against Storm again. That's exciting. Apparently I have a lot to learn against this deck. They're going to be able to cast a few more Rituals. 2 more in the yard there. Followed by a Manamorphose. Try to draw something. And then Grape Shot. Interestingly, the opponent at a very important 6 life here, so Tarfire Bolt, not enough to kill them. If we had a second red source, we could Tarfire Bolt, Snap Bolt. Unfortunately, not something we have access to. The opponent used the Manamorphose, they drew for turn. We actually do have a chance to survive here. They do need to rack up a good Storm count. We're still at 14 life. So our life total isn't totally irrelevant, but it's not really that relevant, I think. It's hard for Storm to go off when they have very few resources, like the situation we're in right here. So forcing them to get up to something like 17 Storm count isn't actually a bad thing. I wouldn't stunt my development worrying about the life totals, though. So it's probably just a trade-off kind of thing. You have to figure out how much life you're willing to give up for how much tempo. Basically the same thing against Burn, I guess. Although there I'm generally much more conservative. We're going to see what the Storm player can put together here. Desperate Ritual again, out of the graveyard. 2 cards in hand still. No Rituals left in the bin. Visions. Did they draw a Manamorphose? Something I'm very interested in. If they did, they're going to have access to blue mana and more cards, which is certainly scary. Storm at 8. They need to cast 5 more spells before Grape Shot. They do have the option to just Grape Shot to deal with Tarmogoyf, maybe just deal us a little bit of damage. But I think they're going to be at least somewhat hesitant of that, because if they use up too many resources, they're going to have a very hard time rebuilding here. We drew a lot of threats. We definitely drew a lot of threats. Probably contributed to being in this spot. Then again, it's at least somewhat nice, because that means even if they deal with our threats, we have more. So I don't hate that. Would have been nice if one of these Mandrills, one of the Knuckleblades was a Stubborn Denial. That would have been fantastic. I'm very curious as to whether or not we should have held up Snap Leak last turn. That's something I'm definitely going to be rewatching, looking for. They did hit Manamorphose. Drawing another card, getting blue mana means they can cast Opt. Sleight of hand instead, that's fair. Better in this spot for them because they don't need the instant speed. Having slightly more information about what the second card is relevant. A lot of discussion about that now that opt is modern legal. People trying to figure out opt versus sleight of hand. Here's Grape Shot. We're not going to give up all priority because I want to be tar firing them. Especially if they don't put enough Grape Shots to the Goyf. Us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to Goyf. Grape Shot you. Pretty sure Goyf survives. Opponent did not play around Tarfire. Alright. Not how I usually want to win my games, but I will take it. Okay, we're going to have to be a lot more cognizant going into games 2 and 3 of when we're holding up interaction versus playing threats. Don't think we're going to need the sideboard guide for this one because I did play against it earlier in this league. By the way, this is match 4, I forgot to mention. Match 4, we're currently 1-0 up a game against Blue-Red Gift Storm. Disrupting Shoal doesn't counter a lot of the spells I'm worried about. Vapor Snag, temporary answer against their creatures. Savage Knuckleblade, a little bit snow. Traverse the Ulvenwald, a little more grindy than I care to be. We'll double check. Here's Storm. We took out Nux, 1 Traverse, Vapor Snag, Shoal. We brought in 2 Pyroclasm, 1 Mountain, 1 Flash Freeze. Fantastic. For those of you who haven't seen me play against Storm yet with this list, Flash Freeze good against red and green spells. Technically hits Nauseous Revival, although that's not its purpose. Great against Past in Flames, Rituals, Manamorphose. Pyroclasm, an out to empty the Warrens, sometimes nice against Goblin Electromancer. Basic Mountain, basically, that's a good one. Happy accident. Basic Mountain sort of replaces the Traverse the Ulvenwald here, helping us develop our mana, be able to cast our spells without actually having to pump mana into using cantrips to do it, letting us have more of an early game, be able to interact and land our threats earlier so we don't fall too far behind. Let's head into game 2 of this match. Super exciting. I like that we're playing against Storm because I'm going to have to head to class relatively soon. Okay, not that soon. Within the hour. And if this was an interactive match, that might have been a problem because I haven't had lunch yet. We're going to keep this. It's not fantastic. We have Visions, we have Spell Snare, we have Dismember. So this hand actually has a lot more going for it than it looks. Here's a Visions for our opponent. We can hold up Spell Snare and Dismember a second mana cost reducing creature. An alternative would be to Serum Visions here. I might actually do that because we don't need to hold up the Spell Snare given that we do have the Dismember. Wooded Foothills, probably slightly better, but I also wouldn't mind just going Stomping Ground on top. I think we want both, which is why I went Stomping Ground at the top of the library. We're going to shock for the Stomping Ground, Dismember their cost reducer if they have one. If they don't, cool. And then the island will be held up for Spell Snare. If they don't have a cost reducer, I might tap the island for Serum Visions here, pay shock, and just hold up Dismember. That line loses to Remand, though. Not necessarily. It loses to Ritual Manamorphose Remand. Here's a Manamorphose. Interesting. Maybe they need double blue? I don't know. Okay, maybe they just drew into the Brawl. Anyways, in this spot, they already have the cost reducer. We're going to shock. Take this guy out. It doesn't matter what color. We're going to pay a healthy bit of life for this. They didn't have Apostle's Blessing, which they are running right now. If they did, I would have snared it. Just means we can't snare the next reducer. I do like holding up Spell Snare in this spot instead of going straight for the Visions. We're drawing a land next turn anyways, So I'm pretty okay with it. Top deck a land. Now, this is an interesting spot where we're going to learn from a mistake from a previous match in Storm. I think it was even in this same league. I'm not getting a breeding pool with this land. Normally, on 3 lands, I want Stomping Ground, Breeding Pool, Island, blue, blue, green, green, red, off 3 lands, the most efficient we can be, getting an island in case of Blood Moon. Not this time. We want double red against Storm. That is relevant, more so than double green. I don't want to fetch here, though. No point. I messed up. Don't like that it gives you that option, but that's fine. Head to the opponent, clock down. Here's an opt. Opt is cool. The opponent top and then drew. Drawing again for turn. Very exciting stuff. We've done a good job so far of keeping our opponent off of their cost reducer, although that literally just entailed dismembering a dude. I don't think we're going to fetch here because it looks like they're representing gifts ungiven. So I'd rather take the extra damage and have the chance to draw a way to stop it. That's fine too. What are we going to give them? I have no idea. It's exciting. In case you can't tell, I quite enjoy playing Magic. We can deal with Empty the Warrens twice over, so I don't think we care about that in the slightest. We're going to hope to Spell Snare whatever their relevant 2-mana spell is. I like them doing this on our upkeep, because it stops us from being able to draw the card, and it also now doesn't allow us to fetch profitably. I don't want to give them Dispel. I really don't want to give them Dispel. I think I'd rather give them Manamorphose and Past in Flames. We need to click cards to put into the graveyard. This could be wrong, but I'm going to say we put Dispel and Ritual in the graveyard. If they Past in Flames hoping to Ritual, we can Spell Snare it. So I think that's the game plan here. I'm going to jot down what they have. Piff and mana. Here's our turn. Do we fetch now? Thin our deck a little bit? How bad is drawing a Steam Vents for it? We play it, we fetch, we Visions. I think that's actually okay. Flooded Strand, basically the same thing. In this spot, I think we want Forest and Steam Vents. We're going to have 2 mana of each color. Basically no drawbacks. We will shock, because I'm casting a Visions here. Bauble, good. Oh, I want Denial. Oh man, do I want Denial. We're only going to be able to cast one of these blue spells, but holy, is it going to be cast. Opponent with a Vent on top of their deck. The Steam variety, naturally. Not Shambling. Alright, let's get in there. Knock them down to 13. Big fat Goyf thanks to that Mishra's Bauble, also drawing us into a Stubborn Denial. If they tap out here, we're going to go for something good. And by something good, I mean countering their spell on the cheap. Steam Vents has been played. Goblin Electromancer, we're going to have to go for Spell Snaring here, because if we let that resolve, we're as good as dead. Or are we? We let that resolve. They're going to Ritual a little bit. They have a Manamorphose in hand. They're going to go for the Past in Flames. We either try to take out this, or we try to Stubborn Denial the Past in Flames. If they have Dispel, it does not matter. I think we're going to let this resolve then. I think. I really don't know. We let this resolve. We have Stubborn Denial up. We hope they don't draw into Dispel. The thing is, if we don't counter this, we're giving them more chances to draw into the Dispel. So I actually think we're going to go for it. Give up priority because there's nothing left for us. Countered it. Nice. Step 1. What do they have? Could be pieces of the puzzle here. Maybe just another cost reducer. Here's Manamorphose out of their hand. All we know is Past in Flames. Here's pieces of the puzzle. Alright. Stubborn Denial. Still ready to go. I would like to know what went into their hand. Thank you very much. Steam Vents. Shivan Reef Opt went into the graveyard, so they kept Desperate Ritual, Desperate Ritual. So they have 2 Desperate Rituals and a Past in Flames that we know of. We're going to get in here 4-5. Knock the opponent down to 6. If we had Snapcaster Mage, I'd just go for the kill. As is, do we cast Hooting Mandrills? Cost green. I think we need to think about Remand here. I want to be able to play around Remand, which means having access to 2 red sources and 2 blue sources. The forest actually doesn't do all that much for us, so I think I don't care about casting this Mandrills. I would like to keep Goyf as large as possible, but it's not super relevant here. We're basically going to try to leave Bauble for sure, and Spell Snare, not Dismember. Took out the Dismember. Spell Snare seems pretty okay as well. Goyf's still very big thanks to their graveyard. Crunch time. Let's do it. The quintessential turn. Only one shall emerge victorious. The opponent with an island. Possibly off the top. Possibly in their hand. Here's a Pyretic. That's not something we knew about. Still 3 known cards. Past in Flames, Desperate, Desperate. 2 mystery cards in hand. Stubborn Denial, looking to clutch this for us. Hopefully it's going to clutch. I would very much enjoy that. Pyroclasm in my last couple of matches against Storm has been very underwhelming. Being a sorcery, kind of annoying, given that it can't act as removal for a Baral or an Electromancer if they just play it on their turn after just making enough land drops that they can go off in one sequence. Then again, it would also have to deal 3 damage to cover Baral. Here's one of the Desperate Rituals. We're not bothering with any of these. We can't stop them, so we're just going to let them all resolve. Past in Flames, the only card we know about. Manamorphose, gonna happen. Now, unfortunately, the opponent is having more draw steps here, meaning they have more chances to hit something like a Dispel. Remand I'm not concerned about, because we can cast Denial twice. Dispel, going to be very good against us. The opponent has a lot of mana here. 4 untapped lands, 5 mana floating. Here's a Nauseous Revival, targeting Dispel. Oh, jeez. So if we don't... Did they had to pay Phyrexian for that. I almost want to let that resolve and try to get them to a point where Bolt is going to win us the game. Because if we counter that, they pay 5 mana for the Past in Flames, and they're fine. It's also just going on top of their deck, so it's still okay. They're probably going to draw it with that Serum Visions. Okay, we counter Visions. They pay 5 mana for Past in Flames. If we can get them to Nauseous Revival while they don't have a Dispel, we win the game. I'm going to make them cast the Dispel. We can't stop them from drawing cards, so they're going to draw the Dispel sooner or later. Here's Past in Flames. If we do try to counter this, they tap the island for Dispel. They have 3 lands up, and we need to get them to use this Nauseous Revival for us to win. Or just hope that they never hit... blanking on its name somehow. That's pretty bad. Grape Shot. Wow. That was really hard. I had the biggest brain fart. Do we counter this? We either go for this or Gifts, right? Do they have Gifts this game? Yeah, it's right there. I thought this was that game. They all sort of blur after a while. I think we do have to go for this one. it's basically the only spell that matters. Or we let them tap for a ritual. We counter that, they dispel it, they're going to have the 3 mana anyways. I don't think it matters. I'm going to denial this. I don't know if it's right, but I don't think what we pick in this spot matters. Our outs look like them. They have the dispel no matter what. We can't stop that because of the Nauseous Revival. So our only outs are to hope they don't end up at Grape Shot, which seems pretty unlikely given that they can gifts for Past in Flames, Grape Shot, etc. I'm hoping... Basically, we're really unlikely to win the game at this spot because we didn't have the second counterspell. If we did, we would have won instantly. So we need the opponent to, 1, not find Grape Shot. 2, we can win if they have to cast the Nauseous Revival and we get to bolt them. And there's basically no other spot for us to win this. If we don't save the Past in Flames, if we don't try to counter the Past in Flames, what are we saving Denial for? They have Dispel anyways. We can let them cast a bunch of rituals, cast gifts. The opponent had 3 lands untapped. I believe it was still just 3. They tapped 2 for a ritual. They still have a blue source up for Dispel. Even if we try to get them into a spot where they tap all their blue mana out, highly unlikely it's going to happen. Maybe it's possible, but I don't think so. I think they drew a Desperate Ritual and they're splicing right here. Splices Desperate Ritual onto Desperate Ritual. Yep, that's a lot of mana. My problem is, even if we try to hit them on a spell like that, they still have the Dispel. We can't play around it. There's nothing we can do. I don't think. Is there something we can do? Feel free to let me know in the comments or some other method of contacting me. I would very much like to know if you thought of something. Opponent continually going off. Manamorphose, yes. I just really want Lightning Bolt to be lethal here. I think that would be fantastic. The opponent has more than enough Storm for us to die. So they haven't hit Grape Shot yet. They're probably getting into a spot where they can gifts very favorably. That's what I would do. Also, if I were them, I would actively avoid using the Nauseous Revival just because it puts me into bolt range. And they know for sure we're running bolts. But if perchance they do end up doing that, I'm going to go for it. They might have a second Dispel. We're okay against Remand. Cast Bolt again. So that's fine. Unless they have 2 Remands. But we need them to not find Grape Shot, end up in a position where Bolt is good, and not be able to deal with Bolt. That's how we win this game. Pretty unlikely. It's a shot, though. And if it's possible, we're going to go for it. May as well win the percentage of games we're allowed to win. Here's a Brawl. We're not going to bolt that. We're pretty beyond dealing with cost reducers at this point. What has Flashback? Does it not say what has Flashback? That's annoying. I guess everything above Past in Flames. Oh, even the Dispel. Oh, I messed up. I messed up. We weren't supposed to counter the Past in Flames. We allowed Dispel to get... Dispel has Flashback. That's the correct line. You let Past in Flames resolve, and you try to fight over something else. Then again, they can flashback the Past in Flames to give Dispel Flashback. So it's not like it really mattered, but it mattered at least a little bit. So theoretically, if we didn't fight over the Past in Flames, we fight over the next spell, we get Dispel in the graveyard, and then we try to get them into a spot where Bolt is good. That's the correct line. We figured it out, I think. Here's gifts. Gonna look for a grape shot. We're not gonna give it to them. That's hitting the bin. Does it even matter what we put where? They have a counter spell regardlessly, so the opponent was smart enough to not let us win off of Bolt. Let's give them Pyretic and... oh, we're putting things in the graveyard again. I'm bad. I don't read. Not that it matters here, because any pile we make, the opponent can win at this point. But before this, we had outs. We had bona fide outs. We're going to see a grape shot here, and we're not going to deal with that. We could just hit 6, make the opponent click through it, but I think they hit 6 as well. Just because we're on MTGO, it is theoretically possible that time is a factor. So forcing the opponent to click through their grape shot actually could result in them losing to time. I don't want to win the match that way, because that's extraordinarily anticlimactic. But I think I'm okay with forcing them to spend the extra 20 seconds. Pyroclasm has looked bad. Very bad so far. I'm going to keep it in. I'm pretty sure that Pyroclasm should be in the deck right now. We're going to run this back. It hasn't looked good, but I think it is good. So I'm going to go with my gut here and not fall into the trap of it wasn't good those 2 games, I don't want it. We're going to play first. How's this hand? We can't cast threats. We have plenty of disruption and evasions. I'm going to keep. Hopefully we can Serum Visions into a green source. Cast Mandrills within a reasonable amount of time. Let's play the Steam Vents. Found a green source and a lightning bolt. I want both of these. Bolt. I actually might want to be able to double bolt. It's not likely, but maybe. What are the chances we need double bolt? I don't think it's that likely. I think I'd rather have the Misty. I don't think we want to play the Misty because I want to hold up Mana Leak. Or do I? I actually don't know. If they play a cost reducer, I just want to lightning bolt it. We will play around Remand though, just in case that's relevant. Maybe we did want 2 lightning bolts so that we could beat Apostle's Blessing. Here's an opt, that's fine. We're not going to counter it. Alright, hopefully this lines up. Our biggest decision, I think, in this game is going to be whether or not I keep that mulligan. Alright. Bolt, good card. And I think I'm fine with playing the Misty here. I'm going to want to fetch relatively soon, get the card in the graveyard. Here's an opt. The opponent setting up their hand, they are sculpting something fierce. And that's something I most certainly am going to fear. Sleight of hand, yup. Cantrips for days on our opponent's side of the table. 4 days. Yup. We're just going to fetch a Breeding Pool tapped. We already have the second red source. We may as well get more blue. No need to pay life. It's not that relevant, but it does matter. Island. If we tap 2 lands, we can Mandrills right here. That leaves Bolt Bolt, or Mana Leak, or Flash Freeze. I think it's worth it to get the Mandrills down. Ooh, Bobble. Gonna cast that. Yeah, let's look at our opponent's top card. They have Evasions. We also, speaking of the time factor that I mentioned earlier in this match, the only card here I really care about is Bobble. We have plenty of stuff to flashback with Snapcaster Mage in hand. Tarmogoyf, good pickup. Depending on how aggressive we want to be, that is. We have tons of stuff in hand to be flashing back, so I'm not concerned about keeping instants and sorceries in the bin. I'd rather just make sure Goyf is good. We can Mana Leak this and just end their turn. Or Flash Freeze it, that's arguably better. Stop them from hitting land drops, I like it. They still have visions. Ooh, land. We can play Goyf, have Mana Leak plus Bolt. Playing Goyf is relevant to the clock. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a forest and play Goyf here. I don't think I need all 3 pieces of disruption available. I don't need any green mana, so I am going to leave the double red, just in case I do need to bolt twice. 2-turn clock, thanks to the fetch land. Oh man, is this exciting. Manamorphose, do we just Mana Leak that again? I think we do. Just stop them from drawing cards. We attack. Go to the opponent. That's pretty exciting. I'm gonna Thought Scour here. See what we find. Probably should have done this beforehand, technically. Yeah, we ended up growing Goyf by milling over a creature. Slight's gonna resolve, so if the opponent plays and uses a Shivan Reef for colored mana, then we would have had them at 6, Double Bolt wins the game. Turns out they just didn't find what they needed, and they scooped. So, we won. We're 3-1 in the league right now. That's pretty fantastic. Rug Delver beating Blue-Red Gift Storm, 2-1. Pretty close match, I think. Game 3 wasn't as close. They didn't hit land drops, and we did a good job of countering the Manamorphoses. So I like that. Learned some stuff in Game 2, so that's good too. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. I also hope the 2 parts merge nicely, because I haven't tried that since going into MTGO, but we'll find out on my end. See you guys later.